Today we're going to dive deeper into a community called Eastmark. Now that's spelled E-A-S-T-M-A-R-K, all one word, and yes, you guessed it, it is in Mesa, Arizona. But here's the deal, when we moved here a couple decades ago, our kids were pretty small. They were like 5, 6, and 8, and at that time, like you're probably here today, we were kind of told, whatever you do, don't look at Mesa, and I would have been so upset if Eastmark was in existence and I had come across it after we bought a house. Now don't get me wrong, we ended up landing in a beautiful subdivision called Power Ranch in Gilbert, because at that time Gilbert was the thing. That's where everybody was looking, was Gilbert. But now Eastmark is really happening. Don't get me wrong, Gilbert's still great. We'll check that out on a different day, but let's dive in and see what all Eastmark has to offer for you and your family, because if you are an active tribe at all, I'm telling you, there's something for everybody to do. Most our subdivisions here, a lot of them have community centers or rec centers, but Eastmark's is on steroids. It's actually themed. They call it the bus because it has, it looks like a retrofitted bus with even the seats. It's really cool. But they not only have, the foosball, the shuffleball, pool tables, but they have good old-fashioned board games too. So, you can really disengage your kids from the electronics and get over and have a family night in a really fun environment. They have some lounging areas. There's a toddler activity area. There's a huge Scrabble wall. It's pretty cool. I can't wait to show you the videos of it. So let's see what that looks like. And then of course, if that wasn't enough for just doing stuff on your own, they have a community life team that puts on events all year round. And some of those might be bingo night, or they have a free throw shooting contest for the basketball hoops. And then they also have story time for the kiddos. I mean, this place is so cool. And then of course they're breaking ground on the brand new Mesa Library right there in your very own community. Can you imagine how cool that is? I mean, they actually laid the streets out in this subdivision so that they are more pedestrian and bicyclist friendly. In other words, they made them a little more convoluted, which is not so fun when you're driving, but so that it gets drivers to slow down. So all the bicyclists and the walkers in the community, which there's a ton to walk and explore and see, are just that much more safe. As a matter of fact, Eastmark has 75 parks alone within the subdivision. We're talking massive, and I can't wait to show you. They have everything from starting out in a rental, more towards the front of the community, to starter mid $400,000-$500,000 homes, all the way up to the $1 million home that you'll be seeing in this video today. Large lot areas. They have a couple different gated community areas, and then if you want the folks to live there with you too, but they want their own active adult side, they don't want to share the pool with the kiddos, that kind of thing, they even have an active adult section of Eastmark called Ovation. I mean, they thought of everything, and we haven't even touched on the cool proximity to Mesa, downtown amenities, the airport, Gilbert, Queen Creek. We are talking the trifecta of all goodies: location, amenities, and beautiful houses. So I can't wait to show you some more. Now, you've probably already figured out that Eastmark is quite large. I mean, they have their own library, for goodness sakes, not to mention the 75 little mini parks. But right outside that rec center, for those hot days, or even the not hot days, they have one of a couple community pools, and this is the biggest, baddest one at over 4,000 square feet. It's open to all the residents, and it's heated in the winter time. And then, you want to keep your toddlers, your baby safe. They have their own separate 500 square foot pool right next to that, so that you can really make sure that the different age groups can have a blast and enjoy themselves. Eastmark has all these great little parks spread throughout the entire community with, chairs and cabanas and fire pits and all kinds of fun goodies. It literally feels like an outdoor resort in your own neighborhood. But we can't, of course, move on without talking about the great park. Now, The Great Park was developed by Eastmark, but it is owned by the city of Mesa, and this is open to the entire public. So it's great because sometimes here in Arizona, you'll go to these really awesome subdivisions and want to kind of check it out, explore, see if this might be the community for you, and they have these security guards that will run you off the second you step foot practically on the property. But the Great Park is open to everybody because it is a Mesa City park. It has a splash pad, it has play structures, it has a lake with riparian stream. Of course, there's the event pavilion and fields and trails, and it's right in the hub of, all these different arteries that you can get to from bike or walking right there in Eastmark, which is a lot of fun. This splash pad was actually award winning, and it's open 7 days a week, all day long. So a fun place to drop by and check out the community with your kiddos. Another great place in Eastmark is the East Pavilion. Now this is set up with the acoustics and seating for up to 8,000 people. This is crazy. They bring in concerts and performances, and they have something called their First Fridays, which is just a super fun way. I mean, can you imagine? It's just so nice out, being able to sit out on the lawn and catch a show with your neighbors in a very relaxing way, because you just walk there, and when it's over, you just walk home. But if you need to tire the kids out some more before you go to concert mode, there is the Orange Monster Park. This was a park that was designed by kids for kids. It's nearly a half-acre of climbing extravaganza. It is so fun. And of course, you know where you are from some distance away because it's orange, of course. Now, if you have kids that are not quite ready to take on up to these 9-foot twists and turns and ropes and climbing, there is a smaller setup that's more appropriate for your kiddos that are not ready for this, that has swings and sets and a fitness, course that you can go through that's a lot of fun as well. Now, when I was a kid, we didn't have anything called disc golf, but it's a thing now. It's an actual sport and people love it. It's super fun. And guess what? Eastmark has its own 18 disc hole course, and it's called Disc O. So it has a lighted pathway, so if you're going closer to dusk as it's starting to get a little bit darker out, you can safely do so. It has beautiful terrain. There's some exercise stations along the way. I mean, they've really thought of everything for all ages. So this is a fun one that I'm looking forward to an invite from one of my clients. We have many clients in Eastmark. I want to go check this one out. And then for your more courageous members of your family that like skateboarding, I'm scared to death being self-employed. We don't have the greatest insurance, and so I'm trying to always discourage my kids from doing stuff like that because it's going to cost me money and I have to sell another house. But they actually have their own skate park, which is really cool. So it's 3.4 acres of things like, I'm just gonna read it to you because I, again, being the conservative one over here, with skate steps, kick flips on the ramps, rails, and a pump track. So I'm sure the skateboarder in your life knows exactly what those things are. All I know is anytime I drive by, that park is packed full of people having a really good time. And it is not just kids. There are a lot of adults out there enjoying it as well. I'm more of the leisurely, there's a fresh catch and release fish pond. You could probably catch me next to that. Not really fishing, but reading a good book, relaxing, watching everybody else enjoy themselves. I love to people watch and I love to read, but there's definitely something for everybody here in Eastmark. Now, with all these activities, of course you're going to get hungry because you're expending so much energy, but no worries. There's plenty of shopping and dining nearby. There is the new brewery that was just put in. There's coffee shops. There is Boca Taqueria. I love Boca. So yummy, and you can literally whiz over there in your golf cart. It's amazing. But then they have the Handlebar Diner and Steadfast Farms. Now, with all of those activities, of course, you're going to get hungry, but never fear, there is a lot of dining options nearby when you live in Eastmark. Right on the edge of the community, you have Point 22 Tavern, which is a new brewery that was just put in. You have Boca Taqueria. I love Boca. You've got coffee shops. You have the Handlebar Diner, which actually uses the the vegetables and the stuff that they grow right there in Eastmark from Stedman Farms. A lot of those greens also end up in the restaurants nearby. And many of these places, you can literally just jump in the golf cart and buzz right over, which is super fun. There's also a coffee shop in Eastmark for, you know, those early mornings when you're out for your walk or bicycling somewhere. And then if you want to go a little bit further, within probably 10 minutes, literally, you can go south to Queen Creek. I mean, probably 8 minutes if you hit the lights right, really. And down there you've got like Red Robin's and Buffalo Wild Wings and Torchy's Tacos. You've got grocery stores like Aldi's and Sprouts and Trader Joe's and Fry's and Safeway. I mean, there's a lot there within very close proximity to Eastmark. And then if you want to try something cool and different, we have the Olive Mill, which is literally like an olive farm. It's really cool, but they have the yummiest food and they have live bands out there all the time as well. If you want to go a little bit further, seasonally, there is Schnepp Farms. They do, you know, like a peach harvest and a pumpkin, the whole pumpkin patch setup, and they do fireworks for the 4th of July. And then of course, you can go a little bit further even, and there's a fantastic steakhouse called Santan Flat. I mean, there's a little bit of everything. You are in really good proximity to entertainment, shopping, dining, living in Eastmark. Now, I'm going to be showing you the $1 Million Home right after this, but before we do that, let's talk about the schools. Because as you might have heard, a lot of these activities in Eastmark are very kid-friendly, which, you know, you bring in a lot of kids because of all the kid activities, and of course, we've got to talk about schools because it's the big elephant in the room. We know in Arizona, when people move here, they don't love our school ratings, but we're kind of unique in Eastmark because we hit some of the best options right within this very specific neighborhood. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know it can be kind of crazy. You can literally live in Queen Creek, but your kids go to a Chandler school district, but your house gets Gilbert services. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But the good news is we usually don't run into a lot of issues with our school boundaries. We are a pretty open policy here. And in Eastmark, you actually fall under 2 school districts. You have Gilbert Public Schools in there and Queen Creek Unified School District as well. And then in addition to those 2 school districts, we also have Basis Charter School. In addition to those 2 school districts, we also have Basis, which is a renowned charter school right there in Eastmark, which services K through 12. Now, our charter schools tend to have more of an emphasis on advanced placement for your children. And on top of that, right on the corner of the community, we also have Gateway Polytech, which can service everything from pre-K on up. And because there are so many kids in Eastmark, we also have Silver Valley Elementary, which too services kindergarten through 6th grade. Now, if your kids have already graduated from high school, but they're looking for additional education, we are so close to Chandler Gilbert Community College, Mesa Community College, the Queen Creek Communiversity. There's an ASU satellite campus, an NAU satellite campus. There is EVIT. There are so many programs. Once you're beyond high school, right there, just minutes from Eastmark. Now, this particular home that we are about to tour is on a larger lot size. You'll see that most of our homes in Eastmark that are approaching $1 million or over are on at least a 10,000 square foot lot. Now, we do have 2 gated sections in Eastmark. One that has more mid-price level homes, and the homes are a little bit closer together, and a second section that was built by Taylor Morrison that is gated. They have their own community pool just for that piece of the community, and those particular homes we usually find are on 12 to 15,000 square foot lots and larger, so those homes are quite a bit further apart. But as you'll see, this particular home is not in the gated section. It's really close to some of the amazing parks that we pointed out earlier, and it has a ton of upgrades. You'll see that a lot of the larger homes in this community had an option to build essentially an in-law suite or casita within the home. So in this home, that's exactly what you'll see. It looks like technically it's 5 bedrooms because you have 5 bedrooms with closets. Most of them are walk-in closets. However, that 5th bedroom, so to speak, we're not calling it a bedroom because it has direct access into the single independent garage. And that's because this 5th bedroom and this particular home, that was an option for an in-law casita suite for these particular clients. They just opted not to use it. Instead, their kids are into music. They wanted a room that was way far at the end of the home, and they left it though, so it could be easily converted to a in-law setup for someone that would like to do that down the road. So that particular family that uses it that way, they have a separate entry and exit where they don't have to go through the rest of the house to have some of that independence with that in-law suite. Now, my favorite component of this home is what we call the morning kitchen. And I was like, what is that, before we helped them buy this home? So what they call the morning kitchen is what I grew up thinking of more like a butler's kitchen. Not that I ever had a butler or butler's kitchen, but it is a separate kitchen area behind the regular kitchen setup with all the counter space, the extra spot to put an additional refrigerator and another prep sink. I mean, it's got everything that you would need to do all the messy parts of cooking and prepping and, you know, laying things out to cool while you have guests over without them seeing all of that mess. Because as you can see, this is going to be a great open floor plan, which is just beautiful. So they hit all the right notes in this house. And then to top it off, when they were done building, they threw in a diving pool out back, a heated diving pool. So if you don't want to head down to the community area and use the big pool, you've got your own private pool steps outside of your beautiful slider. Now, as you can imagine, in a community like this, you can stay as plugged in or plugged out as you want. And part of that includes there's tons of activities and clubs, for very specific niche areas and passions and things that you like to do. Everything from yoga to we have clients in there that they love doing their own home craft brews. So it's like a beer brewing club, which is kind of cool. Now, if making your own beer is not your thing, of course, they have wine clubs and book clubs and cooking Facebook groups. I mean, they've got anything and everything you can imagine in here. They even have volunteerism. So within just the community, you can become a volunteer. They have a leadership program, and you can really dive in and get to know your neighbors and enjoy the space that you live in. In addition to the concerts, they have over 100 activities put together and planned in this Eastmark community per year. I mean, everything from the celebration of freedom to their giant, massive Easter egg hunts to, oh, I love this, a very merry Eastmark. And then, of course, they have scary carnivals. They have a farmer's market once a month in the cooler months. I mean, this is like downtown urban living in the subdivision. They have picnic in the park days. You can volunteer to go and cultivate the vegetables at Stedman Farms right there in the community. Stedman Farm is a 2-acre bio-intense little farm right there in the community that's focused on growing fruits and vegetables and flowers in an organic manner. They offer the produce and eggs right there in your own backyard at the Stedman Farm store, which is open 7 days a week in your own backyard. Isn't that cool or what? So as you can see, I really, really like Eastmark. I mean, just the location alone, being, this little hub where on the east side, you're butting right up to Apache Junction and all the growth starting to happen there. On the north side, you get more of Mesa. On the west side, you're right up against Gilbert and all the fun stuff Gilbert has to offer. And then, of course, on the south side, you're minutes from Queen Creek. It really is the best of all worlds. You've got all the secondary education, you've got great schools and charter schools and Gateway Mesa Airport. Sky Harbor is, a stone skip and a throw down the street. It's a fun place to show our clients. Now, most of the builders are done in there, as I mentioned, so you have a very nice established community where you can just plug and play. If it's for you, awesome. We love seeing people move in and enjoy Eastmark. If it's not for you, that's okay, because guess what? We sell all over the valley and we have other options we can help you with as well. Keep in mind, days, nights, and weekends, we're there for you. We've got your back. Reach out. We want to help you find the best fit for your family.